tonight's yin yoga class is going to be a hot yin yoga class because it is currently 93 degrees and I am teaching this class from a space with no air conditioning. So if you are joining me somewhere where it is also in the 90s, hundreds, or even hotter, hopefully this class will allow you to move, breathe, stretch, and just release something even though it is over 90 degrees. So go ahead and get yourself a mat, blanket, bolster, blocks. Just grab all of the yoga props that you think you might need, and we will get started very soon. And as you're gathering your props, go ahead and think of why it is that you would like to join this practice. All right, welcome to Hot Yin Yoga. Wherever you are joining from, welcome. It is currently 93 degrees where I am filming this class in an indoor space with no AC. And so tonight's yin class will be a traditional class like I teach most of the other times. However, I will be doing it while it is 93 degrees outside. And so the purpose of this class is to allow you to take some time for yourself to move your physical body in the interest of moving and stirring up anything emotionally and allowing that to release with your exhales and leave it on the mat. Let the shit go. This is one of the lessons I am often reminded by my therapist, my friends, my job, and just the universe that I struggle with the most. And so yin yoga is a practice I come to over and over and over to intentionally set aside an hour to an hour and a half, or sometimes just 15 minutes, to move my body into positions, sit there for 5 minutes. You'll see me using this timer throughout class to time our postures for 5 minutes so that we can sit with it. You can sit with whatever comes up, whether that be emotional or physical or spiritual sensation, and just allow it to be there while we have our body in a specific shape. And the purpose of this, and the reason why yin yoga, in my opinion, is one of the best mental health interventions or parallel practices to accompany any sort of mental health work you're doing on your own or with a professional therapist, is because we don't give ourselves space and time to do this. We do not allow ourselves to sit with what we actually feel and just let it be there. We don't have to do anything with it. We don't have to create a plan right away, but we do need to feel it. We do need to experience those emotions, experience those sensations in order to know what the next best thing is. And so yin yoga has allowed me, someone who likes to figure out what to do with things and likes to craft a plan and likes to always move right from there's a thing that needs to be done to doing it, to spend time in this middle space, to spend time in what can be referred to as the yin space, the space between things. And so tonight, as we move through practice together, maybe this is your very first time ever doing anything yoga related. Maybe it's not. I invite you to treat this class as if it's a class that has something new to teach you that you don't know. Because each experience that we have in life is that. We can learn from it, we can grow from it, and there's something there that we can gain or leave behind. And so as someone who in my day job works as a social worker and trauma therapist, I also want to remind you that I am not saying that your trauma is everything happens for a reason. Everything happens. Sometimes there is no reason, and sometimes it's really, really shitty. However, most bad things that happen to us also leave some sort of imprint on us, and they allow us the opportunity to learn a skill or the error. Things got cut off a little bit right as I was explaining that yin yoga and trauma healing and mental health work and any sort of dealing with the shit that's happened in your life, practice, for lack of a better professional term, does mean that sometimes things are not going to be easy. Sometimes things will be harder before they get easier. And sometimes you will experience things that you don't want to experience, and that your body, your mind, and everything within you is saying, fuck this. I need to get out of this position. I need to get out of this space. Your fight, flight, or freeze response, which is innate to all of us, will be activated. And so, as a note, you may experience that during yin yoga on any number of levels to any number of degrees, and it might be surprising to you. You might not experience it. There is no expectation around this. There is no right or wrong way to do this. You can simply lay on your mat for the entire time that we are moving and practicing together, and that is your yin yoga practice of the day. You can follow all of the postures that I am offering at the exact same time I'm offering them. Or you can do something of your own for this time. The most important piece is that you have chosen to take this time for you in the interest of you. And so while I mentioned that I am a trauma therapist, I am a mental health practitioner, this is not meant to serve as a mental health service. And so while I will offer advice or insight or questions or things like that for you to ponder, I'm not your therapist. I don't know you personally. Or if I do know you personally, this is not a therapy session. And so please feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in working with me for those services, or connect with someone on your own, or reach out to me if you don't know how to do that, but you would like to do that. And I'm happy to help you figure out how to get connected to someone that you can talk to or receive mental health therapy from. This class is designed to complement your life and give you time and space and some guidance or instructions into ways that you can physically move so that you can physically and emotionally move more into whatever it is you have next with a different perspective, or at absolute minimum, having taken a break. And so wherever you find yourself, hopefully maybe you have a mat, you might have a blanket under you, bolster, blocks, none of that. Wherever you are, just find yourself in a comfortable seat. I'm going to light a candle for us, as I often do at the beginning of practices. And then I will begin guiding us through just some brief meditation or mindfulness or pause moments for you to begin to just pay attention to your breath for the first time in this class. And as you go with me through practices and movements tonight, know that if anything I'm saying to you makes no sense or you have no interest in it, just leave it, just let it be. Not everything is for everyone. If you have questions, feel free to connect with me. And if you need some guidance as to a different way that you can move, please feel free to comment or connect with me in some sort of fashion. And I'm more than happy to offer you guidance on a way that a certain posture that I guide could be done differently for you. There is no right or wrong way to do this. There is no perfect shape. There are no levels to this class. This is simply a time for you to pause, breathe, move, and be still with yourself. And so if you are lighting a candle or have any sort of beginning of practice ritual, I invite you to go ahead and do that right now. If you are already comfy and cozy where you are, just get yourself in a position, whether that be seated or lying, that you can be in for about 5 minutes. In each of our poses tonight will be approximately 5 minutes. I'll be using a timer to time us, so no need to pay attention to the time at all. Just be here and follow along as it makes sense and as you'd like to, and then connect with me afterwards as needed. And so as you find yourself in a comfortable position, whether that be seated or lying down, go ahead and if you feel comfortable and safe, close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, begin to notice what it's like to drop in to the physical sensation of your body and the experience of just being here without any sort of visual sensation or stimulation whatsoever. Throughout our day, we often find ourselves looking around and observing and taking in all kinds of data and information through our eyes. And so right now, and throughout the practice tonight, whenever you'd like to just drop into a little bit more peace, just close your eyes and come into your breath. And so right now, I want you to begin breathing, if you're not already, in and out through your nose. Taking a deep inhale through your nostrils, filling yourself up. Maybe you even feel your belly expand or your ribs, or maybe you feel it in your back. And then exhale through your nose as well. And do that 3 times intentionally, purposefully, and with observation. And then after that, take 3 breaths in deeply through your nose again, and just open your mouth and exhale that out. Maybe it feels like a sigh. And there's all kinds of different data, information, science, and ideas around the idea that breathing out and exhale through your mouth allows your nervous system, your body, your vagus nerve within your body to just relax and release and activate the part of your nervous system that moves from keeping you alive to resting and healing you. And so as you take an inhale through your nose, should be almost at the place of moving into those exhales through your mouth. Just feel yourself feeling completely full. Just pause for a moment and observe what that feels like. And then open your mouth and just sigh it out. Maybe you notice that your shoulders drop. Maybe you notice that you feel your sinking. Just continue doing this a couple more times. I'll offer guidance of 3 to 5 breaths at times, but breathe at your own pace. There's no need to feel like you have to breathe at the exact same pace as I'm offering. This is, after all, your practice, your body, and your life. You have complete autonomy over your experience here. Whether or not that is true off of the mat, you do here in this time and space. And I appreciate you sharing it with me. And so continue breathing in whatever way you need. If your eyes are still open, maybe consider closing them and see what that feels like for just another minute before we move into our first posture together. And I like to offer reflection questions throughout my class. And so tonight's questions will be focused on moving into the fall. And I realize that that's ironic, as it is 93 degrees outside and feels absolutely nothing like fall. But as we come to the latter part of the summer, begin to think about what it is that you want from the remainder of this season, this year, and what you would like to take with you into an upcoming season or year. No need to craft plans, no need to do anything. Just wonder to yourself about those questions. What do I want to take with me? What do I want to leave behind? And what can I do in the next 30 days in the interest of those things? And that last question is a little bit more action-oriented. But if you, like me, need an action-oriented question in order to ponder reflection questions, I offer that to you. So what do you want to take into the next season or year? What do you want to leave behind? And what can you do in the next 30 days in the interest of that? Take one more breath in any way that feels right to you. And then we're going to shift onto our hands and knees into a tabletop position and flow through a few cat-cows before we settle back into child's pose to continue just entering in, resting, and dropping in. And so if you're moving with me, go ahead and come onto your hands and your knees. Maybe you'd like to have a blanket out on your mat underneath your knees or some extra padding. And go ahead and make sure, as best as you can, that your wrists are stacked underneath your shoulders, with your palms stretched out, planted down onto the mat. Maybe it's even a little sticky. And your knees are underneath your hips. Maybe you shift side to side a little bit just to feel into this shift. You make some circles. And then we're going to flow through 5 cat-cows just to feel into our spine, wake it up a little bit. Maybe you've been seated and still all day. And just notice it as we come into our body. And so with an inhale breath, you'll drop your belly, look up to the sky. Maybe you want to look side to side, noticing what that feels like with your tail up. And then exhale, press your hands down into the mat and arch your spine into a cat position. And this is what's known as cat-cow, where we inhale and drop our belly, look up to the ceiling, and exhale and arch our spine, maybe looking down and towards the belly. Continue flowing through this 3 or 4 more times. If you want to add in anything, always feel free to do so when you're practicing yoga with me, by yourself, or even in another class. Adding the elements of play allows us to come back into that sense of feeling like we can and we are allowed to play, to have fun, and just to be silly. Some ways to add that into this pose might be looking over one shoulder, down towards a hip, or just wagging your tail side to side. Maybe you shift it forward and back a little bit to feel into your hips. Maybe you flow through some wave-like motions with your spine to allow it to wake up a little bit more. But just play for just another moment or so, and then find yourself in stillness, coming back into the tabletop position. And we'll move into our first pose, which will be 5 minutes in child's pose together. And so from here, I like to do a wide-legged child's pose and allow my midsection, belly, and chest to rest completely on the mat between my knees. So I'm going to shift my legs out to the side of my mat. Maybe they go farther. Maybe that doesn't work for you. And then shift my toes together. And then shift my hips back towards my heels. Bringing my arms out in front of me, stretching them out, palming them forward, and allowing my entire upper body to rest between my legs. The chest is down on the mat. And then you can either keep your chin rested on the mat looking forward, or you can plant your forehead down on the mat and just rock it side to side a little bit. Closing your eyes as you feel safe and comfortable. And just allowing yourself to just take an inhale breath, see what that feels like to fill up. And then allow as much air, emotional release as you can on your exhale. Maybe that means you want to do an open mouth exhale. Just let something go and let yourself melt. If you've taken a restorative class before, maybe you hear those phrases of melting, sinking, resting. Those apply to an extent here in yin. However, what also applies is sitting with sensation, allowing yourself to notice and observe where you're holding any tension and allowing that tension to release. And as you'll experience in some of our poses later, that holding might be a lot less relaxing than you would expect from a restorative class, as you hold yourself into a lizard lunge or pigeon pose for 5 minutes. But use your exhales to see if you can allow yourself to soften just a little bit more, right at the edge of sensation. Never pain, only sensation. And just release into what your body has for you. I recently went to a yin class where they talked about finding your edge and just sitting there. And so I invite you tonight to find the edge of sensation for you and just to be there. See what comes up. See if you can just sit with it, knowing that you'll be there at most for 5 minutes. And if you ever need to move into a different physical posture than what I have offered, please do so. This is your body, and you have the right to move it in any way that feels good, and not to move it in any way that doesn't feel good or creates a sensation of pain. Coming back to the idea from the beginning of class that we often don't make time to sit with things, to be with them, and we often try to push aside things that feel uncomfortable. Our emotions feel too strong, distract yourself. Something feels too uncomfortable, do something else. And while those aren't bad ideas, if we always find ourselves distracting ourselves from our emotion and avoiding uncomfortable things simply because they're new, scary, or unknown, that can lead to a whole host of things such as anxiety and other things where we find ourselves not really knowing who we are or what we think about things. We've just been going through a set of motions, going from one thing to another, scrolling endlessly, but never stopping to pause and ask ourselves, how are you? How do you feel? What do you need right now, physically or emotionally? And what can you do to meet those needs for yourself? Maybe those needs can be met alone. Maybe you just need to get yourself a sip of water, a snack, call up a friend that you haven't talked to in a while just to catch up. Or maybe those needs can be met or need to be best met with the help of someone else, a listening ear, maybe a pet, therapist, or maybe it's something else entirely. But pause and ask yourself, what do you need? What do you want? And how can you move towards meeting those needs and less from feeling like your needs are not important or that they should be pushed aside in the interest of carrying forward? It's okay to distract yourself when it's not the time. But if we're distracting ourselves 24/7, we're out of touch with our bodies. We feel anxiety, and our body keeps stock of that. It keeps the score even, as one trauma therapist writes in their book. And so allow yourself tonight to feel physically and emotionally, and just be with those sensations. I encourage you after class to take time to journal anything that came up for you. And then move into something peaceful as you're able. And just let the after effects and the aftershocks of this class just be with you. Take care of yourself. Sometimes highly emotionally sensational experiences can require just as much of a downtime or transition, whether they're good or bad. Allow yourself to feel. And as we spend our last few moments here in child's pose, take another inhale breath, filling yourself up completely. Let it go. And then stretch your arms out in front of you if you've adjusted them in any way, planting your hands back, gripping the mat with your hands, bringing your hips back up above your knees, and then walking your hands back, coming back into that tabletop position, shifting, playing, moving in any way between poses that you need to allow yourself to reset and observe. And we're going to flow through thread the needle on each side next. We will be spending 5 minutes on each side. Again, it is 93 degrees where I am recording this class. And so moving in a slower fashion tonight, holding things for longer, it's hopefully going to allow both of our nervous systems to take a break. And also not to take a break just to take a break, but to take an intentional break, to pause, to heal, and to come into ourselves. And so to move into thread the needle, I'm going to be planting my left hand, lifting my right arm first. So I'll keep my left hand planted, lift up my right arm, open up that wing. Maybe you want to even look up to your thumb. And then on an exhale breath, swing your arm through, placing the top of your palm on the mat, and then taking your left arm and stretching it out in front so that your right shoulder we can shift them back into a child's pose-like position that's available.
this mindset that if we pause and we're losing something, losing money, missing out on something. It's not true. Pausing is essential to being able to go. Use this time as an intentional pause and return to it anytime you need it. Just listening to meditative yoga classes about movement. Just to give myself intentional pause. To know that that's always available to you as well. So just looking down into the foot down to the feet. And then you just stick with it and move back to the original. Following the sensation. So I can go change it. Instead of going to just go through and through. Even bring your right hand back towards the side of the face. Sit down there to move. And then exhale, press your right hand down. And your left hand side. Back down. And go through the movements, position. Breathe for a moment. And then back into a seated position. Next posture can be butterfly. So once you have that, then reset. We're going to come back to a comfortable seat. This time, butterfly forward fold. Either face the front of your mat, or I will be facing the back for illustrative purposes. And from this comfortable seat, what you're going to want to do is bring the soles of your feet together and have them as close to your body or as far away as comfortable for you. And in order to do the forward fold, you might want no props. But if you do want to add any props, I want you to grab the bolster, bring it out in front of you, so that along the soles of your feet. You want to have a block nearby as well, in case you'd like to place that underneath your bolster. But here in this butterfly fold, I'm just going to take a moment and pay attention to our neck before we move forward, before we stretch out the back. So place your hands anywhere that makes sense to you. Just close your eyes. Back to that idea from the beginning of class of just noticing the breath, encounter visual sensations, experiences. And just decide which side of your neck you're most in need of stretching. Or both, don't worry. Which one you want to do first? And you've chosen the left side of your neck. Okay. You drop your right here, tilt your right shoulder. You'll notice that maybe your left shoulder is coming with it. You find yourself tilting over to the side. Try not to do that. Just place your hands on your knees to so. Just allow the ear to drop to the shoulder. Notice the opposite shoulder. Just encourage you to sit back down. Hold it up, hold it back, hold it up. We'll spend a couple breaths here. Remember, just breathe forward. Try to send to your side. You'd like to add more sensation on the down your shoulder. So, for some simple neck stretches that you can do here, but you can also do it on to neutral. If you experience vertigo or dizziness, I do not recommend. If you have long haul COVID or any other type of autoimmune condition that most of you have vertigo, we do offer classes specifically for that. If you're just experiencing a little bit of dizziness, you know that it's just concerning. So all back to the neutral. And when you drop it on the opposite ear, it just drops. So from there, you're dropping the left ear to the left shoulder. Not alone, the right shoulder. And spending some time. Just pausing. And look into this scent of it. Sometimes it's easier to choose different sensations. When you feel complete, try that the same listen to the tempo. Back up to neutral with your eyes closed and some blinking open your eyes. Pull your shoulder back a little bit. Some sort of movement that feels like play. So to twist a little bit. Arms up. Push them back down. Find yourself in the props that you needed. And come into that butterfly shape with your legs if you're not already there. Close your feet together. I like to give myself a little bit of a foot massage while I do this. So to the outside, thumbs to the inside. And then take a breath. Lift yourself up, stretch yourself out tall. Get to the ceiling. And then on the next breath, hinge forward, allowing your upper body to come down over your feet. Maybe door shape looks a lot like mine. Maybe it looks very different. You begin to feel this across the outside of your hips and across your back. And you drop your head. Decided that you would like to add props in. Do that now. Again, bolster in front of you, propped up by a block. A great way. Don't want to hinge totally. Also, just cut the hands out. Similar to how we do in downward dog, which was close. I'll be here for a few minutes. You want to move your hips, heels closer or farther from your hips. Make any adjustments you would like. And turn to resting. from side to side, relax. Holding the head up. Others, not. Moving on. Neither meditation. Back. The arms outstretched and look to shift a little bit. Just put your shoulders to rest. Go ahead and just come your elbows down, one up on the ground. And as we begin to move out of this, we want to feel more spine back up. And then lifting yourselves as well. And I want you to remember to do these transitions with just as much intention as you put into staying in the pose with themselves. Try not to allow yourself to just rubber band back. Experience the sensation of the leg. So palms down. And you walk yourself up slowly. Walk yourself all the way back. Focus on the ground. Draw your hands back up. And then last but not least, keep your head back up. Eyes open and closed. So your spine is back upright. Just rest here for a moment, observing the times to all. Just praying. The next pose we're going to move into doesn't require much movement from the and so any of the props that you can around, don't together your posture flat. Where we're going to be going is wide-legged forward fold. So it's basically the exact same pose that we just did, but our feet will not be together. And instead, they will be stretched out. So you can choose to actually make this more of a caterpillar pose if you'd like. Have your feet stretched out directly in front of you. Placing your posture on top of you, just straightening yourself forward when you're ready for that. Or you can come into the feet are at a 45-degree angle. You can start right here, more like a sitting child's pose, I guess. Or potentially maybe you would like to add in more of a stretch as well to this. Making sure that you move anything that's flammable or spillable out of the way. And spread yourself out farther. Making sure that your sit bones are comfortably on the ground. And at this point, you might want to have a bolster in front of you. To here, have that propped up like a block. There's no choice, or practice your body. Just take an inhale breath. Now, close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and then fold yourself forward. Don't come as far forward as you expected. Some tension across the backs, legs, and thighs. Potentially your calves as well. But try and get to a place where you can grab your head, similar to what we just did. And just let yourself be. So let you soften the more. So you would like to add it, adjusting your arms maybe like you can find a place where you want to press. Hold and slide like a fold.
You're good. Oh. No, you're fine. You didn't get that close. It's good.
So have this plant for attention on your face. Relax. And try to not punching your jaw. You keep it out your nose. Make sure that your jaw is releasing. Let this out mouth can be held by the palms. Or underneath them that lets the palms. And then turning again when I do it. For anything you want. As you continue this season, you should consider. Not gonna answer something detail. What can you do in the next 30 days? And then just sit back. Only you know. You can use it for you practice. Be nice to tap your toes. But set proper motion in the middle of the yoga class. So you run fast. No, I'll use the more words. For example, it's class like I didn't know like music. Find myself getting distracted. So allow yourself to add and rest. As we prepare to shift back into our and find a place for your hands to rest. Hands down. Slowly uncover yourself. Very gentle with your spine and your entire body. Let's come up fast. Then come back with your eyes still closed. Slowly open. Try open. Before we move into our favorite and probably the most challenging young postures series that I'm moving into downward dog, lizard, and pigeon pose series. And so if you, again, struggle with vertigo issues, know that you should not do inversions. This is not for you. You should move to a different posture. Maybe you want to do figure four on your back. But for those of you joining me in my favorite shift your bumps to the side. Maybe leave them at the front of your mat and just want to close. Round you across water. And get ready to shift into downward dog. Only one knee at a time. Careful. The hands outstretched, arms bent out. to that, with distance, such as the sky, and find yourself in one. In our transition flow between series. And so know that you can come back here and play around so much more with the time. From side to side. The body can go back, open up your shoulders, open up. And then return back up. And so we are going to try and do this for 5 minutes each, whenever it might shift into breathing. And so know if shift where we're going is switching active. And this is the rest of the jump towards the front. So we'll start with our left foot planted. Like to flow into the series through three-legged dog and scorpion. With our left leg planted, lift your right leg up to the sky. And open up your hip a little bit nice and good. Shift back to the hip switch back. And then swing that right leg all the way through the outside of your right knee. And see the back leg is. Look at that answer. But when you do it on the scissor, some runners. We would like to drop the knee. And if you would like to add any props into this, blocks and stability, down, or setting your chair straight forward. Praise the Lord. It's good help us with this. Please, that's enough. I find that things all of them. If you would say, or you just want to, find it. These tiny little microphones, they allow us to focus. So we'll cut it over. Don't so it's not. It's like right into the kitchen. Do that for it. Box. You have a and then your right knee. Come here, you get upright like this to your left knee. Yes. Last. Wrong. Mm. Things go back to town. It's a little slow. There's we got so got that back. Back up to the sky. I'm just working. Setting it back down. I just had and you're on a transition. Like that industry. Shifting to play. I'm done. Moving where you are in the space. And then shift back into that. Breath. Mentally preparing for the other side. Like transit. Back up to the sky. And move. Good. Back next to the right. And then you have a body. Your next sentence. That is last second. Almost forearms. The practice. Let's see. Lessons. Cover yourself. Another interest. Focusing on one thing. Absolutely. There's other people. Besides the material costs. Maybe it's just the opposite things. for both you. Makes sense. Give yourself permission. Feel happy. Most important to remember. Take summer. You should feel like something about So, go back to scope there's down square. Back to the and bring your knees down. Back into the flip around. Come back into a seat. Just really spring with the legs. Just a moment. Just a moment. Let's move these. Maybe down next to you. Breathe out. Breathe in. Face down. Try to keep face forward. Observing. Position that's most create that muscle memory of what a deep breath feels like with right facing. Shifting your legs out from under you. Coming down and far back. The two final phases of push-up. First one's going to be crescent moon or the Vinyasana as a side stretch. Lay yourself back. Upstairs. Your planted. Not long. Long. Up the other side. Side to side. Wherever the feet are doing this is like awesome colors. Time the legs coming to the turn. Still going. For the final 5 minutes. Go back to the two one posture. Lift your arms up over the back. And up over your back. This is our leg one. So from here, we're just trying to tuck our left ankle into the first leg. Right ankle. And sit it. And do the same with the arms. And then yourself into this big shape. Try as best as you can keep our upper body quickly still and your body still. Try passing one over the other. The extra touch the body. Like to flip. One. Very adjusting. Allow sensation. Right forward. Out. Second, By my favorite clothes and instructions all the time. Pause for an assumption. Right leg up. Right bum. Tuck it over your head. All by your left. Times the heavy experience. I can see. Final comes up. That's it. Postures where chest is open, connected to the food. Practice for a while. Never ask yourself this question. I just want to do it. Which I believe there's more emotion. You feel more emotional. Seems to observe experience on the mat in terms of observing things and participating. Awareness to make observations about really impact them. Other relationships or experiences. Back the soles of your feet on the mat. Lift your hips up so you can shift from Monday. And feel quite sensational. And so if you'd like to do something, I'm going to be dropping on the side of the left first. So, go 4 times over. That's the sticker portion. Right knee, left, right, and go up on the just hang up here. The other side. Or if you'd like to come to the left, to crossing that leg over. Get down into the mat and shift the hips away. This is shift your arms out to the side. Drop your knees over to the left. Again, check. Rock or pulse. Like that. Feel better on the back. Thanks so much. Unadjusted. Back over to me. Into this pose. Watch this one. Uncross and stop. We'll try that for the 4 position. Took them off for business. Lists and sensation. Let's come back and do it differently next time. That's what we did before. where pause in the middle. Continuing to cross the down to the mat, which we the hips left. Dropping moves over to the right. Again, adding opposite knee, touch the leg. Arm down to the leg. Similar to so it's an open. Just a stomach. You know, keep the breath until you're so quiet. That's a little more. So look into the space that exists. You need a little help getting there. It's calm. Just a short. Stuck your knees. And your legs stretch over to the right. Need to just center. Back. Shift your hips back to center. Soles of the feet to the outside, drop the knees, whether the best or windshield lightly. Swing around and reread. Like I'm getting prepared to move into Shavasana. Shoulder legs out long. Arms down by your side. And as you would like, I encourage you to find a way to just actually be as still as you can. And 5 minutes. You want to add a voice gender because to how you just be still with it. 5 minutes. You're of course welcome to stay as long as you would like. Shavasana. And if you rest, bring you back to the original questions that you pondered at the beginning. Maybe pondered. Or anything that you have situations on your mind often that you would like to have more of or let go of as you move into the next season. As I mentioned, we would like to get this back. So it's definitely not all yet here. But as I move into the final bits of summer, I find myself reflecting on what else do I want out of these next 2 weeks before. What are we going to use it until we forward? What's next? My abdomen yoga. I'm not going to use the what can you do in the next 30 days in the interest of that? In the interest of taking the arbitrary amount of time. Although if you're looking for 30 days, allow yourself to take this moment. Not as long as that goes on seconds. Or calendar, health insurance. 30 days is all. First one. So, create patterns, allow you to observe it. Whatever you need, that's inside that one, or if you want someone to jump in there, let me know. Be that person out. I call it the practice of yoga as a really good consultation into the center after yourself. Like someone else to join that process. And that help you find someone. Make sure to stay hydrated. Make yourselves. Come back and join you. Take the time to talk with those that have or ask for on the topic and others might be interested in. I'm always looking into craft classes for those who like classes. And so never feel like investing in a field is a problem. I don't even know what I want most of the time. But about 5 minutes. Go a little bit to one side, come back to that sitting position, and take a breath. Don't feel free to stay. So, as always, go on with that. Thank you for joining me. few minutes then.